give yourself permission to care, for your own well-being and see how you show up for people around you and then watch them show up for you.
Hey everyone, it's Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true quantum leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less drama and stress. So let's start making magic. Hey everyone, welcome to Create Magic at Work. I'm your host, Lynn Durham, and today is a really cool day for me in particular. I'm actually recording this episode on my birthday, and I think this is going to be airing towards the end of January, beginning of February. And I have invited my best friend of, I'm already going to start crying here with everybody, of many, many years, Kristina, to the Create Magic at Work podcast. So Kristina and I have shared an incredible bond since we were 12 years old. And she has been a constant presence in my life ever since. For those of you that have worked with me or know me personally, I'm sure some of you even know Kristina and have met her to be friends since we are 12, and I won't give our age away. Multiple decades. And we've talked nearly, Kristina, like every day over the years, supporting each other through life's highs and lows.
Almost every day.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. So why is my best friend on Create Magic at Work? Let me tell you why. Kristina is an amazing Reiki practitioner, and she is also an amazing life coach with a unique ability to see deeply into people's experiences and help them feel truly healed. Her mastery of listening makes everyone she works with feel profoundly heard. And she has an extraordinary ability to have a high level of presence and intuition to help bring clarity and transformation to you, to me. I'm super grateful to have her as a friend. Sometimes I feel like she should bill me after we have a conversation. But overall, Kristina empowers individuals in their entrepreneurial journeys, relationships, corporate lives. And I'm beyond grateful that she is stepping out and sharing her wisdom with everyone today. Kristina, welcome to Create Magic at Work.
Wow. That was an amazing intro. Thank you for that. I love you so much for saying all those awesome things, but I think that, I'd have to bill you. You'd bill me right back. So yeah, that was amazing. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I know you're even more amazed because we used to joke that I would always write birthday cards to you and I would just say, you know how I feel, Amy.
You literally just blew me away with that. I was going through some old cards that I had because I'm cleaning out my office. And I found the Christmas card from your parents this year. And then I found a birthday card from you. And I was cracking up because they were both like, love Amy, love Brenda and Monty. And I was like, that's where she gets it.
So funny. Well, yeah, through the past few years, I've obviously grown and morphed with all of this spiritual intelligence work. So, and as we get older, I'm like, we have to say what we want to say. And today is the day. There is no waiting. So as we get started, Create Magic at Work is a show for leaders in the workplace. And I know personally, I have sent a lot of leaders that have been struggling energetically to you as a Reiki practitioner. Can you share with those listening that aren't familiar with Reiki a little bit about Reiki and why it can help them, how it can help them?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely sent me some really amazing people, and it's really been a privilege to work with them and see, the healing work that they do through a Reiki session. So I try to keep it really basic especially for people who are not familiar with Reiki, or, they think it's really woo-woo. They don't really understand what it can do. And so I do my best to explain it in a really simple and practical way, to someone that is new to this healing modality. So it's basically a healing modality that originates in Japan. And to keep it really simple to help people understand what it is, I really try to describe, our natural state is well being. That's how God made us. Our bodies are designed to heal, right? And so a traumatized or a stress system, it cannot self heal because it's locked in a stress response. And so, we do so much and experience so much on a daily basis that really complicates our natural state, which is well being, whether that be fights with our partners, family challenges, rude coworkers, really deep traumas we may experience, people who are just rude. Also, like what we consume, in terms of shows that we're watching, music that we're listening to, what we're putting in our bodies in terms of what we eat, all of that. I mean, you name it, and it's going to throw our system out of balance. So, Reiki basically moves the system into balance, and a balanced system self heals. So, when you're talking about leaders or people in leadership roles, I mean, can you imagine a workplace run by people who understand the value in that? And people who are in those positions that work hard to bring their most healed versions of themselves to work every day. I mean, imagine working for those people and you get paid to come to work with those people and be surrounded by leaders like that. I mean, sign me up, right? So that's in short, what I try to explain to people in the most simple way in terms of Reiki. I'm a practitioner. Basically, all I'm doing is holding space, creating a container. I've received the attunements that are required to be able to hold space for someone and allow universal life force, Reiki, energy to come in and basically offer healing where the client needs it the most. So we can set intentions in a session, but ultimately Reiki knows where that person needs that healing the most, and it does its work. I hold space. The client receives and releases whatever they want to let go of, and they receive universal life force and healing. And that's pretty much the gist of how Reiki works.
So, how long is a typical Reiki session? Let's say you're working with, actually, Sam Smeltzer, another friend of the podcast. She does qigong with corporate leaders, and it's just there's so much healing that we all see that needs to be done. And as you're explaining that, I'm just wondering what's a typical session of being able to release and receive that universal energy to energize you.
Yeah, so typically a session is going to be anywhere from, an hour to an hour and a half. We go into our daily lives every day and we're, impacted by the people around us, the energies that are around us. So it's not like a one and done deal, right? It's something that you can use as a tool to kind of help you manage the stressors in your life. So an individual session is going to be roughly about an hour, but I have clients that come back for years now because they're dealing with different stressors in their lives and they want to be really mindful about, I guess, how they're showing up in the world. And so this is one of the many tools that they have access to, one of the many modalities that are out there that, can help them release negative energies, stress, all of the heavy things that they're carrying around every day, and also welcome in, all of the life force that God has available to them. So I would say an hour, roughly, hour and a half typically, and then sessions can go on for years, just depends on where people are at.
Yeah, I think that's really great to point that out because it's not like a one and done thing because we are human, we're living our lives, we're going through different things, different circumstances. And speaking to something that you said earlier, you really reminded me of the quantum leader. People want to work for leaders that are doing this type of work because they feel better in that person's presence. And if we talk about, as we do, spiritual intelligence here on the podcast, if we can use some of these tools to help us operate from our higher self, our inner wisdom, compassion, and love a larger percentage of time, then and we're showing up like that with others, other people around us will by default, the data shows, operate from their higher selves a larger percentage of time. And I'm just thinking, for me personally, I'm still pretty exhausted here today from the holidays. And then I know everybody in the corporate world came back and just got hit. There was the whole joke, let's circle back after the holidays and let's wait. And now we've circled back after the holidays. Our inboxes are exploding. It just feels so stressful. One of the things that really struck me about Reiki is it's a giving up of control because you don't have to do anything. And one of my friends that Becky Morrison, she wrote the book, The Happiness Recipe. In her book, she's been a guest a couple times on the show. She wrote about an experience she had with a Reiki practitioner where she was so tired. She was so burnt out that she didn't want to sit and talk to a therapist, or she didn't want to sit and talk anymore about anything. She just wanted someone to help her channel this universal energy to release and have healing. So I just want to share what came up for me while you were saying all of that. And on that note, I'm wondering, with people that you've worked with, what are some of the common things that you see with entrepreneurs, with corporate professionals? What are some of the common symptoms or challenges that you see when they come to see you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a really good point, especially with people in leadership roles. I think some of the main challenges that a lot of these entrepreneurs, corporate leaders come to be with is really just they spend most of their days in the workforce, right? And the small percentage of their time that's spent at home is usually where they're struggling the most. And maybe because they have a lot of those work pressures, they have, metrics to meet, they have teams to guide and lead, right? They have company goals they have to achieve. All that pressure tends to start affecting their home lives. And so they come to me, and usually the things that they say they want healing from is what's going on in their personal and their family lives, right? And sometimes that work-life balance is not balanced. And so Reiki can be really beneficial in that. Reiki restores balance to your being, body, mind, and spirit, right? So oftentimes they feel like they're having a lot of family issues, but a lot of times it's because there is no work-life balance and they are spending more time focusing on the work pressures and meeting certain goals that it ends up making their family life or their personal life suffer. And so I see them coming to me a lot for
That's interesting. Couple of things on that. One of the skills in SQ, the skill 21, is aligning with the ebb and flow of life. And I've kind of put out there that replace work-life balance with aligning with the ebb and flow of life. But I can also see how these symptoms of feeling overworked, feeling stress from work, feeling financial stress, feeling anything that comes from that career space spilling over into your personal life, spilling into your personal relationships. And then all of a sudden where someone's saying, or you're saying, oh my gosh, I have this issue with my boyfriend, or I have this issue with my husband. And then you go to see a practitioner. It doesn't have to be Reiki, right? It could be anything that one of the listeners resonates. I need help with XYZ. I just think it's really wise that you're pinpointing that perhaps these stressors from career and work are spilling into the relationship sector or that part. And if people are coming to you saying, my husband's driving me crazy, clear it through Reiki. I'm totally making this up. I don't know if anyone's ever said that to you.
that. I've definitely gotten a lot of
Perhaps taking a look at, gosh, what's really important and where we're spending the most of our time and how we want to show up, I think is a critical call out for sure.
they go hand in hand, right? And I think we spend so much time trying to like keep everything in a separate silo, right? This is my work. When I come home, I take that hat off. I put this other hat on. For women, it's the second shift starts when you get home. And I get a lot of people coming to me because of that. But I think we try so hard to separate and put everything in its little box. And what we don't realize is that they all go hand in hand. And it starts with you. Like, it starts with us, right? If we take the time, make the space, and I think give ourselves the permission. Typically, people in leadership roles have high demand jobs that require a lot of their time, attention, their focus, and they don't give themselves the permission to say, "Hey, I need self care." And Reiki is true self-care. We're not talking about, just going and sitting and getting our nails done. Or not that that's not self-care because it is, right? It can look however you want it to look, but Reiki can really be true self-care. And I think it's important for people in those roles, those really demanding roles, to give themselves permission to find healing. Because, if you can come to your team as your most healed version of yourself, right? That in itself, just addressing your own challenges, your own personal struggles, your own fears, releasing that stuff is going to allow you to show up in a much more open, grounded, centered way for your team. And that alone is going to trickle down and it's going to really affect everything that you touch in a positive way. So I think, giving yourself the permission to do that is step one. And then taking the time to find a good practitioner. Speaking about Reiki, right? There's a lot of different modalities and a lot of things you can do to heal, but Reiki in particular, if you find a good practitioner, giving yourself that time, it can make all the difference in everything that you touch in your life, including your workspace.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. I have found it really beneficial with private executive coaching clients to have an executive coach like myself and also have an energy healer that they go to and just don't speak at all. I mean, I'm sure you speak to them a little bit, right? But I have found that so beneficial. I have one client in particular that schedules her energy healing sessions right after we have an executive coaching session. So she verbally heals. And I think marrying those two things together is really important. The other thing that you pointed out is the permission piece. And there's a couple of things that I think we are all looking for, and that's permission, because for some reason we are striving under these systems or these constructs that we didn't even create, but we show up in them. And for some reason, we feel like we can't take the time for ourselves, especially entrepreneurs. You know, when I was a corporate executive, yeah, I got burnt out. Yeah, I worked really hard, but I didn't feel bad about taking some time off for a massage or, heading to the spa or whatever I wanted to do, going to get energy healing. Now I'm like, my mental capacity is running my business 24/7. Sometimes it feels like, even if I'm quote unquote off. And so taking that time, and that's where a coach really comes in too, is they give you permission to celebrate yourself. They'll stop you in your tracks if you have a great executive coach and say, have you celebrated this? What is your appointment for this? The accountability piece. And that's what leaders need to do for each other in the workplace, is one, lead by example in this way, because it's going to bring innovation, creativity, people showing up from their inner wisdom and compassion. And the other is giving your colleagues permission as well to do the same. I just wanted to, highlight what you said there. I think that's really, really important.
I think that's a really good point, if I can add to that, especially considering certain industries, male-dominated industries, that permission piece for one another is lacking. Like I know people in law enforcement, and I think after everything that they see, they probably need healing the most, right? And yet there is this idea that, you're weak or, oh no, we don't do any type of, healing, therapy, that kind of thing, coaching. No, we just suck it up and we, keep moving forward. So I think that piece you said about, colleagues giving one another permission. So first leading by example and then giving, one another permission to do that is needed, like majorly needed in specific, male dominated industries typically, right? That permission piece is major.
Yeah, the hyper masculine spaces that we all have worked in, that could have some profound shifts that can take place. So incredible. incredible shifts. And it's not just this woo woo, oh, I started crying and released my feelings or something shift. It's more like, okay, I'm not carrying this anymore. I can show up as a better leader at work. I can show up as a better partner for my partner. If I could remove the mystical veil from it, it's not this breakdown, crying, woo woo scene. It's truly something you're doing for yourself that, hey, maybe you interact with so many people, you talk to so many people, maybe you're carrying a little energy that doesn't belong to you. Let's reset that. Let's release some of the energy that doesn't belong to you, and let's bring in this universal energy that's available to all of us to sort of energize and bring back some vitality and some alignment for you. I don't know who would say no to that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking about, all the people that I know that typically, the males in my life who work in male dominated industries. And I think that that is like a perfect marketing pitch, really. It's clear that you used to have a sales and marketing background, or you have a sales and marketing background, because that's a perfect pitch. It's why I try to explain it in a really practical way, because it takes that woo-woo part out of it. And like you said, it doesn't always have to be breakdown crying, although it is, often, but it doesn't have to be that. It's just really like, how do you want to show up in the world? And especially in your leadership role, and how can you most effectively do that? What are the tools that you can reach for that are going to help you show up? Because ultimately, I think a lot of leaders or people in leadership roles, unfortunately, they get lost in the title and the fact that they're there to hit metrics and give directives. And really, the way I see it is you were just given an opportunity to be of service, both to the company and to your employees and to your team, right? And so, how can I best be of service in this leadership role? And so, sessions like these can really help.
All right, it's time for a fun, playful, quick break. And it's time for you to discover your spiritual intelligence at work. So, over here at Create Magic at Work, we are not just a great podcast. We are an executive coaching firm, a team dedicated to helping leaders like you create healthier, more fulfilling workplaces. Whether it's through private coaching, transformative workshops, or impactful keynotes, we're here to help support your journey to have less drama and stress and more magical moments in your life. So have a little fun. Take our quick quiz in the show notes and see where you stand. Discover your spiritual intelligence at work. Click on the link in the show notes and reach out to us for support if you need it. Sending magic to you. Any other lessons that you want to share, or any other, if you could give one piece of advice for everyone listening to carry with them every day, what would you share just from your personal experiences you've seen working privately with clients?
I would say it starts with you, care for your well-being, mind, body, and spirit, whatever that looks like for you, right? I happen to offer Reiki as one of those many modalities that are out there, or tools that are out there. But really, it starts with you. Give yourself permission to care, for your own well-being, and see how you show up for people around you, and then watch them show up for you. A lot of people, 6 months down the road are blown away over the energetic shift that they've had in every area of their life. Also the workplace, right? Just because they were caring for themselves in a way that allowed them to show up differently. And then when you show up for people in that way, they want to show up for you. And it becomes like a really balanced give and take from the people that are in your life. So I would just say it starts with you.
I'm going to take this a step further. If someone is listening and they're like, I literally don't even have a breathing room in my calendar, and I'm so tired. That's one part of the question. What's a micro step they could take towards some healing or vitality or bringing back balance or alignment?
So if you don't even have a second in your schedule, right? My first question would be, do you really not have a second?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's true. I mean, that's what they're all constructs that we have in our head, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So what are you willing my question would be is, do you really not have a second for yourself? That's very telling about what you're willing, to even give permission to yourself in terms of what you're willing to focus on. So I would say, let's say you really don't have a lot of time, or at least you're working within a construct that makes you feel like you can't, and even if it's just in your mind. Before you go to bed at night, do you have a couple seconds to just get really quiet? Take a moment, sit up in your bed, right? Think about all the things that you're grateful for. Focus on your breath. We have a really great friend that focuses on, or that is a breath coach. And I've applied some of those techniques and they've made a really big difference for me. So I would say if you really don't have, time in your schedule, do you really not have time in your schedule? Do you not have a few minutes to dedicate to yourself and to your own well being? It goes back to it starting with you, right? You have to be the first person to give yourself permission to find healing and relief from all the stressors in your life. So, can you take a minute or two before you go to bed or right when you wake up and you open your eyes? Don't grab for your phone. Sit there, take a few breaths, be really mindful, find one thing that you can be grateful for and ask yourself, how do I want to show up for the people around me today?
yeah, I have found that I get into these, you know me personally, obviously, that I can work really, really hard and a lot. And I have found that I start because I say when I'm off work now. And I used to say I was off when my final session or whatever ended for the day. I would tell my friends or family or whoever, "Oh, what time you off today?" And I'd tell them that time. I add time to the end of it. And I'm trying that more because I'm so into like what's on my calendar. And I don't know, one day I hope I can break that as well, but like I'm just calendaring it now. Like if my final session ends at 4, I'm telling everybody 5. And so I have this extra hour of breathing room that people aren't going to bother me or, especially like in the hybrid world, like work from home. If you're in your home office and you're like, "Yeah, I'm done with this session at or this meeting at 3 PM," and then, your partner comes in, "You done?" Your dogs start barreling in or your kids. I just have found that adding that time buffer helps quite a bit to do whatever you want, to take a breath, to do some meditation, anything like that.
That's so funny you say that. I'm sorry, I have to just say, you're the only person that I know, and this is the Capricorn in you, that adds an hour to their work schedule. I thought you were gonna say that I shave off an hour now because I'm not trying to, like, burn the midnight oil, but you just said that you got an hour, but I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, but technically it's shaving off. Yeah, but nobody bugs me. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're shaving it off for yourself and your own mental well-being because now you just gave yourself an hour's worth of breathing room. But I just thought that was funny. You're the only person in my life that adds an hour to their work schedule to find relaxation.
So
Sorry.
funny.
That was funny, but it's a really good point. And I get you're speaking from, having been in leadership roles, that extra hour could be your breathing space. So I get it.
Yeah. So, can someone do Reiki only in person? There's distance Reiki, right? So the Create Magic at Work podcast is a global community. And if they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to try this," they don't have to see you physically in person. There's such a thing as distance Reiki, right?
Right. Yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up. So there are three different attunements that you get as a Reiki practitioner. The third and final attunement allows you to become a Reiki master. So once you achieve a certain attunement, it allows you as a practitioner to offer distance Reiki. And I can't tell you how amazing some of these distance Reiki sessions have been, both for me to kind of watch somebody facilitate their own healing, maybe not necessarily watch, but just to feel it, right? I can do it over the phone, or we can just set an hour aside where we both know that the session's going to be taking place. And I can actually send them Reiki healing. Because I'm just a vessel, the universe knows what that person needs. So I can work with the client and basically we can create a container from a distance, right? We don't have to be in the same room. And kind of the beauty of God in the universe, right? Very similar to prayer, right? If you get enough people praying at the same time, they can literally affect what's going on within their county or their city, right? Those are real things that have been studied. And so distance Reiki, works similarly in that way. So yes, I can offer distance Reiki because I've received a specific achievement for that. And it allows me to work with clients from afar. We'll have a quick little phone call, a chat about what they want to focus on, what they want to release, what they want to walk in. And then we hop off the phone typically, and we'll spend the next hour from afar having a session. And I've seen some really awesome breakthroughs for people, in those distance healings. So yes, you don't have to be in the same room to be able to receive Reiki healing and to give it as a practitioner.
That's amazing. All right. Well, I'm going to pull a card for everyone listening today. We'll see from the Create Magic at Work journal prompt card deck. While I'm shuffling the deck, thank you so much for coming on the show today and highlighting just really, my takeaway is just the reminder for all of us to take care of ourselves one way or another, and for sharing this one particular way that is really beneficial. So let's see what comes up for everyone today. What message from the universe? Okay. So we got integrity. This is interesting. After our whole discussion, I make sure to carefully plan my work and always deliver what I commit to. I was like, maybe we're going to get some crazy magical one today. I make sure to carefully plan my work and deliver what I commit to. Oh, but I will say earlier today, I was talking with a colleague in a session, and speaking of committing to things, beginning of 2025, I tend to say yes to a lot of things. And I had this moment because speaking of carefully planning your work and delivering what you commit to, I had this moment where I was like, I'm done, hopefully. And I'm only going to do things in 2025 that are not an option, meaning the edge walker work that I do with Dr. Judy Neal. That's not an option for me. Like, I know I'm just doing that. And so that was sort of my hit today, or my download is I'm only going to do things that aren't an option.
I love that. Like you've committed in a different way.
Yeah. And that way, because if I'm sitting and thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, maybe I'll do, yeah. And then I always lean towards yes, because I always learn something. I'm always getting something out of everything. And I end up, I'm a lifelong avid learner. So I'm always like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to go to this, but it's no more. I want to commit to planning my work and delivering what I commit to. And the work is things that don't feel like they're an option for me. And that's how I want to be in 2025. So I'm sure that's why that came up, that I make sure to carefully plan my work and always deliver what I commit to, because it's probably feeling the energy around that conversation.
Yeah, the universe is reaffirming what you were thinking earlier today. That's cool.
Yeah. So, advice for the audience: how can someone, if they feel like they have a lot of tasks on their plate, how can they complete them with uninterrupted focus this week?
I think that's something that I think about often as a mom who's also working. Stay in the moment. I tell myself that all day, every day. Like I start to think about all of the tasks that are coming up, and I'll immediately say, you're right here in front of the fridge. Open the fridge. Make breakfast for your baby. Put on his shoes. Get him ready for school. Stay in this moment, right? In Reiki, there is a saying, right? A phrase that is, just for today, right? It starts with just for today, and then it goes on from there. But I've taken that and drilled it down even further to stay in this moment, right? And so maybe I have 10 tasks on my plate. I'm not going to stress about the other 9. I'm going to focus on my one that I'm focused on now. And I just always tell myself, stay in this moment. It alleviates stress. I'm not freaking out about everything else I have to do. It allows me to really get focused and finish this one task, check it off. So I would just say stay in this moment, and you'll find that you end up hitting those 10 tasks or whatever it is that you had. And if you don't, they're going to be there tomorrow. So just stay in this moment.
I love that. Just for this moment, I will do this. That's amazing. Kristina, thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your wisdom and your knowledge and your healing with all of the Create Magic at Work listeners and community. If people want to reach out to you and connect with you and work with you, how can they get a hold of you?
So they can find me. My email is klebewell@gmail.com, and they can find me on Instagram as KrisanBewell. And yeah, those are the two ways you can find me. And I also want to say thanks for having me on your birthday. You just threw me so many flowers that made me feel so special. I feel like it's my birthday. But, happy birthday, and I love you, and thanks for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we will put the links to connect to you in the show notes. And of course, I love you as well. And thank you for the many, many years of friendship and the many more to come. And thank you for sending some magic to everyone today with me. I appreciate it. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back every week to listen to a new episode of Create Magic at Work and really helping to support and advocate for healthy leaders, workplaces, and lives for all of us. If you want any information on how to connect with me, click on the link in the show notes. You'll get access to all of the social media links for Create Magic at Work. Stay following along for more amazing episodes where we help you improve productivity and profitability in the workplace and decrease stress. Sending magic to everyone, and see you next time.